Hello students, this is Faizan Mirza. We are discussing genetic abnormalities today. Genetic abnormalities refers to abnormalities that lie within the genes or on the chromosomes. So we for this the basics of the DNA need to be kept in mind that on DNA you have genes and the genes are the segment of the DNA that codes for a polypeptide. So this DNA it turns into its segment will turn into an mRNA through transcription, and upon the translation of this mRNA, amino acids will be incorporated into a polypeptide, and that polypeptide would then control a trait. This is how the genes actually manifest themselves in the phenotype. Now, let's take an example. If, for example, the codon GAG, you know, codons are triplets of nucleotide sequences. If GAG codes for glutamic acid and the GAG turns into GUG, there is a mutation here. So it turns into a different codon, and an amino acid valine will be incorporated instead of glutamic acid. This is the mutation that actually is there in sickle cell anemia. In sickle cell anemia, this codon GGAG is turned into GUG because there is a change in the DNA. The change causes glutamic acid to be not placed in the polypeptide, rather valine gets placed, and because of that, the beta hemoglobin, the beta chain of hemoglobin, it is less soluble in cytoplasm and starts to form aggregates, which can be seen in sickle cell anemia. Now, when we're discussing mutations, mutations could either be genetic mutation or a chromosomal mutation. First, we'll be discussing genetic mutations and then we'll come to chromosomal mutations. Mutations basically refers to a change in the genetic sequence. So in gene mutations, we refer to the idea of point mutations. Point mutation means that at a certain point, a base got added, or a base got inserted, or a base got substituted, inserted, added, or substituted. In either of the three, point mutation means that a single nucleotide changed. For example, GAG turned into GUG. Just there was a transformation of A to U. So this is a point mutation. Missense mutation is when the change in the codon changes the amino acid as well. So GAG was glutamic acid, but GUG is valine. So this means that the change of the nucleotide sequence is a missense mutation, that a change in the codon changed the amino acid as well. At times there are mutations in which the change in the nucleotide sequence does not change an amino acid, and those are called as silent mutations. You know that there are multiple synonyms exist for different amino acids. So if a change occur, a point mutation occurred, you may still be having the same amino acid being incorporated. You can look for the codon dictionary for the synonyms of the amino acid which are there in the 64 codons. Okay, so then there are frame shift mutations. In the frame shift mutation, either there is an insertion or a deletion of a certain nitrogenous base. If the base gets inserted, or if a base gets deleted, the frame shift, the reading frame of the ribosomes for turning the mRNA into a polypeptide, it transforms altogether. This is called as a frame shift mutation. And then there are trinucleotide repeat mutation, in which three nucleotides get incorporated together and a complete codon is either lost or changed. So when we are discussing genetic abnormalities, we use the term of Mendelian disorders. These are the diseases caused by a single gene defect. And when we are discussing single gene defect, we classify them into mainly three categories. They could either be autosomal dominant disorder, they could be autosomal recessive disorder, or they could be X-linked disorder. Autosomal, you know, you have 46 chromosomes, you have 23 pair of chromosomes, in fact 22 are pair of autosomes, and the 23rd is the sex chromosome. So 22 pair of autosomes means those chromosomes which have got nothing to do with gender directly. So those 22 pair of autosomes, which mean 44 chromosomes, are your autosomes. If the disease gene lies on these autosomes, it's called as an autosomal disorder. Now, if the diseased gene is recessive, it is called as autosomal recessive disorder. But if the diseased gene is a recessive allele, it's called autosomal recessive disorder. So autosomal dominant is when the allele is dominant of a gene and it's disease. In autosomal recessive disorder, the allele is the abnormal allele is a recessive allele. Then X-linked means that here the allele is present on the X chromosome, and since males have just one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, so the progression, or you can say the pattern of offspring having that disease will be a bit different from the females who have two X chromosome. For example, hemophilia, it's predominantly only in males. Only males suffer from hemophilia. Females never suffer from hemophilia. Why? Because the abnormal gene for that hemophilia is present on the X chromosome, and the son receives Y chromosome from the father and the X chromosome from the mother. So the mother, who is the carrier of the disease, passed on the disease as a carrier on the X chromosome to the son, and the son receives that X chromosome with that disease and Y chromosome from his father. So a father can never pass on that X chromosome to his son, because he'll always pass on the Y chromosome. Otherwise, the offspring will not be a son. So anyhow, autosomal dominant disorders, these are the dominant disorder, which means that having even a single allele of this particular gene will be a disease. So a person who is heterozygous for this trait, a dominant disorder, will be suffering from the disease because the person is having that dominant allele. A single allele is enough to cause that disorder. So let's suppose if a person who is affected with the disease is a heterozygous, is having one autosomal dominant allele, and he's just having one allele and the other is recessive. So and if he marries a woman who is unaffected, who is completely normal, she's recessive for both the allele, and she's normal because both the alleles are recessive. In that condition, there will be 1 in 2 chances of that father passing on the dominant disorder to his offsprings. Because this is an autosomal disorder, it means it's not X-linked or Y-linked. It is an autosomal dominant disorder. The allele is a dominant allele, and this is a disease allele. The recessive one is the normal allele, and anyone who is actually normal for that disease is the person who is having recessive condition. For example, Huntington disease. Huntington disease is because of the presence of a CAG repetitive nucleotide sequences. There is a stutter of CAG on chromosome 4. Stutter means that CAG. There are like hundreds of repeats of CAGs on chromosome 4. This leads to a disease called Huntington disease. And Huntington disease is a disease where a person suffers from mental retardation and the person dies by the age of 30. This is an autosomal dominant disorder. A person will have a single dominant allele, and the person will have the Huntington disease. If I'm not having Huntington, if you are not having Huntington, it means that we are all homozygous recessive for Huntington disease. Otherwise, if we had a single allele of this disorder, since this is a dominant disorder, we would have suffered from this disease. So this is autosomal dominant. Autosomal recessive disorders are ones in which the if two people are the carriers of the same disorder, there will be 1 in 4 chances of the person passing on the disease to the offspring. For example, sickle cell anemia. If there is a carrier of sickle cell anemia, one individual is HbA HbS. HbA HbS is the heterozygous condition, and the other is also HbA HbS. So when they both cross together, there will be 1 in 4 chance that the offspring will be HbS HbS. You can just perform this cross and Punnett square with simple Mendelian genetics, and you can come up with the outcome as well, that people who are the carriers of the same recessive trait, who themselves are not having the disorder, because for the recessive trait to show itself in a disorder, both recessive alleles must be there together to actually cause that disorder. So if a person is HbA HbS and the other is HbA HbS as well, both are carriers, there is 1 in 4 chance that the offspring will be HbS HbS. So in autosomal recessive disorder, this both alleles need to be there for the disorder to be there in the population. This is a karyotype. In karyotype, we just arrange the chromosome according to their size. The largest chromosome are placed first, and then the chromosome just keep on reducing in size and on the position of centromere as well. And last, we place the sex chromosome. They are actually A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are the groups in which the chromosomes are placed according to their shape. This is a typical karyotype, which is done with G banding. This is the basics. I'm just discussing karyotyping to just give you an idea that how chromosomes actually are analyzed for whether an abnormality is there or not. Because we are done with the genetic abnormalities, we are starting with the chromosomal abnormalities. Now, when we're discussing chromosomal abnormalities, this is because of a numeric abnormality. Numeric abnormality means we know we humans are all 46. They are 2n diploid condition. 46 mean you have 23 pairs, which mean 23 pairs, which mean for total of 46 chromosome. an exact multiple of haploid number n is the haploid number. An exact multiple of this is called euploid. Eu and ploid. Euploid means true ploidy. So if you are 2n or 3n or 4n, it means diploid, triploid, tetraploid, pentaploid. They are all euploid or polyploid conditions. Chromosome numbers such as 3 and 4 are incompatible with life, and even if a zygote forms because of this, this leads to spontaneous abortion. Only we humans with diploid conditions are born. But a number which is not an exact multiple of n is called n euploid. An n euploid person involves is will survive and will be born as well. An n euploid person is there because that n euploid person will not have 46 chromosome. Rather, the person will have either 46 plus 1, which means 47 chromosome, or the person will have 46 minus 1, 45 chromosomes. If that's the case, if the person is having 47 chromosome, we say that that condition is trisomic. Trisomic mean extra chromosome. Sorry, trisomic means extra chromosome, which means there's an extra chromosome 2n plus 1. This is trisomic condition, which is 46 plus 1, 47 chromosomes. Or if a person is monosomic, monosomic means 2n minus 1, which means 46 minus 1, which is 45. That's monosomy. Trisomy and monosomy are compatible with life to a certain extent. Trisomy is compatible, but monosomy involving an autosome is incompatible with life. But monosomy with sex chromosome is compatible. We'll discuss Klinefelter syndrome, and we'll discuss Turner syndrome, which are an example of trisomy and monosomy respectively when it comes to the sex chromosomes. Trisomy, on the other hand, can be found in autosomes, not just sex chromosome, and this is compatible with life. We'll be discussing three abnormalities here. In structural abnormalities, when we're discussing the structural changes in the chromosome, the chromosome, there is a short arm. There are two arms actually. There is a P arm and a Q arm. P arm is petite. Petite means a short arm of the chromosome, and there's a Q arm, which is the long arm. They are divided accordingly. So this is how you have a chromosome. For example, each arm is divided into the numbered regions 1, 2, 3, and so on, and from centromere outwards, and with each region which is numerically ordered. So, for example, if you have a gene locus 2q34, this indicates that it is present on 2. 2 means on the second chromosome, and Q means on the long arm, and the region is 3 and the band 4. So this is how you just name this genes. You don't really need to learn this naming of genes. This is just for your information, but it's a good idea to keep these things in mind. But this is not very relevant for our current course. Anyhow, let's come back. When we are discussing the details of a structural abnormality of a chromosome, we see isochromosome. What are isochromosomes? Isochromosomes result when the centromere divide abnormally. You know centromere. Centromere is the region that holds the sister chromatids of a chromosome together. The centromere ends up splitting horizontally rather than vertically. It is supposed to split vertically. When it splits vertically, the sister chromatids get pulled apart. But when it divides horizontally, the two arms P and Q do not segregate. Do not go together, rather they segregate separately. So the P arms go on the one end and the two Q arms go on the other end. Why? Because the centromere split horizontally rather than vertically. This is isochromosome. Deletion involves a portion of a chromosome, it gets deleted altogether, and when it gets deleted, the region of the genes which are deleted, it is lost as an isolated fragment. Their inversions can also occur. Inversion means that the chromosome ends up breaking into two segments, and the segment that got detached, it just inverts itself like an inverted comma and inverted comma, and it rejoins in an inverted manner. Again, that's an abnormal condition. And then there's a ring chromosome, in which ring chromosome, this is actually a variant of deletion only. The gene get lost from the chromosome at each end, and the remaining chromosome turns into a ring. We know that the chromosomes in the eukaryotes, they are not ring chromosome. We have linear DNA and linear chromosome. So this is what you need to keep in mind regarding the structural abnormalities. Let's come down to the discussion of trisomic conditions. Cytogenic disorders involving autosome. The autosomal trisomies for trisomy of chromosome 21, chromosome 18, and chromosome 13 are the ones which are compatible with life. We are discussing here, for instance, let's come here. So the first that we are discussing is Edwards syndrome. I'm just putting this here. This baby here is suffering from Edwards syndrome. What's Edwards syndrome? The karyotype is trisomy 18, in which the chromosome 18 is having three chromosomes there. The three chromosomes, the extra chromosome comes because of the failure of the homologous chromosomes to separate in the meiosis. You know, in meiosis, haploid gametes are to be made, which means there are 23 chromosomes in a gamete. But let's suppose if an abnormal gamete of 24 chromosomes is made, and that gamete ends up fusing with a normal gamete, so a 47 chromosome organism will be born. Now the 24 chromosome gamete that initially was produced was because of an abnormal meiosis. So this is the basic reason of trisomic conditions and an abnormal meiosis, in which a haploid chromosome gamete formed, but that haploid chromosome gamete, instead of having 23 chromosomes, it had 24 chromosomes. So this here is Edwards syndrome. In Edwards syndrome, you can see the abnormality. There are congenital heart defects in the baby. The intestinal stenosis is there. There's constriction in the intestine. There's umbilical hernia. There's predisposition towards leukemia. The tone of the skin and the muscles is it's very low. There's an epignathic fold and the flat facial profile, mental retardation, the abundant neck skin. There are various folds in the skin. There's a simian crease in the hand, in the palm as well. Trisomy 21 is Down syndrome. This is trisomy 21, which means there's 47 chromosomes, and the chromosome, which is three chromosomes here, are in the 21st pair. So in people who are suffering from Down syndrome, they have a prominent occiput. There is a mental retardation. There is micrognathia here, low stature, short neck, overlapping between the fingers. There are congenital heart defects as well, renal malformations, as well as limited hip abduction. Their feet are also rock bottom feet. Then we have Patau syndrome. Patau syndrome is trisomy 13. The karyotype shows that the extra chromosome is in the 13th chromosome. In this, there's polydactyly, multiple fingers are there. There's cleft palate and the cleft lip, cardiac defects and umbilical hernia, renal defects. Again, rock bottom feet are there. Microencephaly and mental retardation can be seen as well. The last two things that we are discussing here are the monosomic condition and the trisomic condition associated with the gender. So Klinefelter syndrome is the condition of 47XXY. What happens in 47XXY? In 47XXY, there is an extra X chromosome. And when there is an extra X chromosome, this individual will be a male because Y chromosome is there. But because of the presence of two X chromosome, there will be hypogonadism. And with this hypogonadism leads to the person having a reduced testosterone in blood. The person will have a very less body and facial hair and the pubic hair, and gynecomastia, which means the presence of breast tissue in males, will be there. And they will be the testis size will be very low as well, as small as 2 centimeter in the widest dimension. And this actually is called as testicular atrophy. This is because of the limited amount of testosterone levels, and because of that extra X chromosome there. So people with Klinefelter syndrome, sometimes they suffer from mental incapabilities as well, but mostly their intelligence is normal as compared to other people, but they are sterile. Only a few people, only rarely some people are fertile, but mostly these men are infertile and they are XXY. These are called as the Klinefelter's condition. Turner syndrome occurs in female, and these Turner syndrome actually is a 45X karyotype, which means this is a monosomy of uh, of the X chromosome. This is 2n minus 1, 46 minus 1, which is 45. So this is 45X karyotype. This is Turner syndrome. In Turner syndrome, you can see this diagram here. This shows to you that the profile of a Turner syndrome clinical features a female who is suffering from Turner syndrome. This is the classical defective second X chromosome. There is this one X chromosome. Short stature is there. There's a low posterior hairline. There's webbing in the neck. the chest is broad with the nipples which are spaced widely, and the coarctation of aorta can be seen. This is a malformation of aorta. There are streak of ovaries, infertility, amenorrhea because of the presence of just one X chromosome. The female the female functions of the reproductive system cannot be completed successfully. Pigmented nevi is present here as well, and there is peripheral lymphedema at birth. So this is what basically Turner syndrome looks like. This diagram here shows to you how a chromosome ends up forming deletions and isochromosome, and how ring chromosomes form, how inversions can occur. Inversion can be paracentric or pericentric. Para and pericentric just shows you away from center or towards the center. And the that pretty much is it. That's it. That's it for genetic abnormalities. Thank you so much.